getting into this episode of Beyond the Gates. This was another good one. I enjoyed it. Anita was working it in that living room. Let me tell you, she was killing them little dance moves. I said, go ahead, Anita. She was ready. But I get it though. Her mind is not fully on this articulate reunion right now because there's just so much drama going on at Fairmont Crest. I don't blame her. There's so much going on with her family. I don't blame her for not fully being invested right now into this reunion show because it's so many fires she feels that need to be put out. Like, she does not need this secret coming out right now publicly. That's why they're just telling some family members about it. And I'm glad that they sat Naomi down and talked to her. But I love that Vernon was like looking at his wife like for confirmation. Like, should we tell Naomi? Because I get why they want to keep her out of it. Because now this is a legal matter and it could affect her marriage. Because if they tell her this, she's going to have to keep it from Jacob. Now she's involved. It's going to create a whole mess in her marriage if he finds out that, oh, you found out about this and didn't tell me. So Vernon was like, you know what? Forget it. We just got to tell her. So Vernon, before he did anything, before he said a word, he took out $1. He said, you officially on retainer. Because I know that's right. Give her $1. So now it's attorney-client privilege. She duty bound now. So she was like, oh, so now I'm bound to not say nothing. Yeah, he gave you $1. You officially represent them now. So anything he say to you, you can't say to anybody, including Jacob. They're your clients now. So anything you say to Jacob would incriminate said client. So you duty bound. So he told her what happened and whatnot. And then mention how Bill was a part of it, how Kenny resurfaced and, Bill pretty much orchestrated his demise. They were up in there just throwing people under the bus. They was putting names. They was basically like, Jacob Daddy was a part of it and she was shocked by that. But, they cleared that up. They said, listen, Elon was a good dude. They said Chief Hawthorne helped them out a lot. He was a good dude. He ain't crooked, nothing like that. But she was pissed when she found out, her father was a part of this. Like, he helped to orchestrate Kenny's death. I hate that they are putting all this on Bill. Because that seemed like it was the theme of this episode. Like, they want to sit here and put all this on Bill like it's his fault that it went this far. Because Vernon wants to sit here talking about, oh, I didn't think Bill could stoop that low, that he would go this low or whatever. You knew he would go that low. That's why they come to him for everything. Whenever the Duprees got a problem that they feel they can't handle, they need somebody without a conscience. Somebody who would go there. Go to places that they can't go. Somebody who got the balls to do things that they just cannot do, being the people that they are. They like to write checks and do that to make a problem go away. Bill is a bit more, unscrupulous than that. And they knew this about him. That's why they come to him. So now that I see why Bill called that family a hypocrite. They are. Because now y'all want to act like y'all don't know who Bill is and what he do or what he would do. They know Bill can go low. They know he will cross a line or 2 or 3 or 4. They know this. That's why they go to him. Because if you didn't think he would cross those lines, you would have handled it yourself. You know what I'm saying? You knew what needed to be done. Come on now. I'm totally on Bill's side on this. And now Naomi gonna get all pissy and mad and probably confront him next. It's just ridiculous at this point. But it's definitely going to create issues in her marriage. Because now that she know the truth and she let them know. Jacob is getting close to figuring this out. And she already feels like no matter what, this is going to come out. So they need to figure out a way to get ahead of this. Because it's going to be public. And I feel like it is too. Like, you can only hide it from the public for so long. Because Jacob is on the scent at this point. And I understand, when Naomi had lunch or whatever with Jacob, she's upset that her family stays on his, case books or whatever. Like, he's always investigating stuff that involves her family, but it's not always avoidable. I mean, I feel like Jacob is in between a rock and a hard place when it comes to her family. I feel like, obviously he doesn't want to arrest anybody in her family, but he has a job to do, and her family is not making things easy for him by getting themselves mixed up in shenanigans. But realistically, Jacob shouldn't be on any case involving the Duprees. because they are his in-laws, he should not be involved in any of that. You would think, his father would reassign him different cases that has nothing to do with them. So that way it's not a conflict of interest. But that's just, and I get that Naomi wants him to let this Martin thing go, but he will not let it go. And I feel like, too, he should let it go. I agree with her, because this is not an official investigation. You're doing this on your own. Nobody's asking you to look into things. You're continuing to do that, all because things don't make sense. But that's what good cops do. That's what law-abiding cops do. Cops who are clean, and they want to get to the truth. They don't like being played or lied to, and they feel like if something shifty is going on, they can't let it go. It nags at them, because that's the cop in him. He's Mr. Law and Order. So he has to find out what's going on to make it make sense. So he's not going to let this go, even though I feel like he should. That's like investigating this continuously is like trying to open Pandora's box. Once you open that box, you can't close it. Once you hear what you hear and see what you see, there's no unseeing it. There's no unhearing it. You know what I mean? It's there. Now you got to figure out what you do next. So that's putting him in a position. And basically he's putting himself in a bad position, because he should just let it go. So when Martin came to Orphe Jeans and he was talking to Martin, saying he was sorry about his marital issues and stuff, Martin wasn't buying. Martin was like, yeah, I bet you are. And that's when Jacob realized that Smitty pretty much said the same thing. He feels like they're, involved in a cover-up. He feels like somebody committed a crime. Maybe Martin committed a crime, or, Smitty knows about it. Either way, he knows they're in cahoots about something that's illegal. He know it. But Martin is trying his best to railroad him, and let him know, like, this comes with the job of being a congressman. You're going to have people making threats, stalking you, all type of stuff. But Jacob's not buying it. He knows that there's more to that story. But I just wish he would let it go at this point, because knowing what I know about this case, I'd rather he just let it go. So Martin pretty much went over to Nicole's because he wanted to tell her the full story, because of course they only gave her the edit version of it, of the story. They didn't tell her about Kenneth. They didn't tell her about him dying and how all of that came about. So he wanted to make that right, because he feels like, did I say edited? I hate that. I get so tongue tied sometimes. I'd be saying anything. So yeah, he wanted to tell her because he feels like this is the start of fixing his marriage, because Smitty is not having any type of conversation with Martin other than the kids. That's literally all they're talking about is the kids' schedule. That's it. They're not talking about anything as far as their marriage. And that's pretty much how Smitty is keeping it. He's keeping Martin at arm's length as far as their marriage is concerned. And he wants to try to improve that. But see, that's the problem with Martin. You can't force that. You got to wait until Smitty's ready to talk about your marriage. He's not ready. And it's not going to be on your time. It's going to be on his right now. You know what I'm saying? Give him that space. So, Nicole is trying to get her life back on track. She was on the phone talking to her, bosses or whatever at the hospital, the chief of medicine or whatever at the hospital, about getting back on a full schedule, seeing patients full time again, which is good. It's a start for her. But Martin had to tell her this last little piece of information. So he told her everything that happened, and she was pissed when she found out about Bill's part in this. She was not thrilled. Because she feels like there was a better way of handling this, to where there shouldn't have been any death involved, any type of murder. But luckily, the Duprees their hands are clean on this, because they didn't know anything about that, so they don't have to worry too much about that. She's ready to start therapy with Martin at this point. She wants to start the healing process for him and getting him some help, which I think is very important. He needs it. Because I hate that Martin keeps feeling like he did something wrong. He defended his grandfather. He defended himself. I feel like the only thing wrong that he did was he didn't confide in his family about this. His mother, his husband, he didn't confide in them about this 2 years ago when he should have. And he also should have got the necessary help all that time ago. He should have. It shoulda, woulda, coulda, but make amends now. That's the best thing you can do. So of course, Bill is at his house with Haley. He talking about, oh, you don't even look pregnant, because she's not, Dodo Bird. That woman ain't no damn pregnant. And he's sitting over here talking about this college fund that he's starting for the child, and he put more money into the fund. I'm like, Bill, stop squandering that money on this fake child. Even though he could always take the money out of the account, but you would probably have to face penalties and whatnot. But still, you putting all this good money into this account for a child that's not even in existence. I would be calling bullshit on this child, because he was not at the ultrasound with her. So you got a doctored ultrasound, or ultrasound from a surrogate, more than likely. Either way, it don't really belong to Haley. And of course, Haley wants to piss and moan about the Duprees, because she wondering, like, when is this hold that they have over Bill gonna finally be over? Because she's sick and tired of the Duprees still being a major part of their lives. If you don't want the Duprees to be a major part of your life, well, one, you shouldn't have never married that lady husband. Two, you should have never moved into their community. Should have moved somewhere else. I mean, y'all got money. Well, Bill got money. You could have easily just bought somewhere else. Like, he did it just to stay close to them and taunt them, basically. She was shocked that Nicole came through. Nicole completely ignored Haley when she came storming through that house. Like, completely ignored her. Didn't say hello, didn't nothing. Just blatantly accused this man of murder. And Bill was like, Haley, let me talk to her alone, because now Nicole want to sit here and tell Haley what's going on. And Bill was like, no, she ain't got nothing to do with this. She's not involved. I feel like telling Haley anything about this is a fool's move on Nicole's part. Like, absolutely not. You cannot trust Haley, because for one, the Duprees also need to keep this quiet right now. So telling Haley is not that bright, because we don't know what game Haley's playing. Obviously, she got something up her sleeve where Bill is concerned. You give her that information, that's like handing her a loaded gun. No. No. Because what's to stop her from throwing Martin and anybody else under the bus, even if that includes her own husband? What's to stop her? If it benefits her, what's to stop her? Like, no, you don't do, no. So she basically going off on Bill, blaming him for Martin's issues and stuff. And Bill is not about to take none of the blame for this, because he called them hypocrites. He said, come on now. He said, y'all come to me for everything, because she talking about stay away from my family. He said, well, keep your family away from me. He said, y'all the ones that come to me to fix y'all problems. He said, y'all stay coming to me to fix your mess, because she feels like if he was as good as a lawyer as he acts like he is, then she feels he should have just let this play out in court instead of helping to cover this up. I get what she's saying with that, but I'm just on Bill's side on this one, because I feel like, for one, you got to think of the optics of this. They were in a racist county. The incident happened on those racist people's turf. If they would have called 911 and got arrested for this, you really think, even with as good as Bill is as a defense attorney, you really think Martin would have got a fair trial? No. In a racist county? No. He would have never. And I feel like that's what Nicole is missing. That's the key point she's missing out on. These were racist ass people that your son was dealing with. Nothing was going to be done above board to protect that man. Nothing. Martin did what he had to do. Bill did what he had to do. They should not be upset about this. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be angry about none of this. To be honest, these were some racist bastards. I wouldn't shed no tears over them. I wouldn't be yelling at nobody about anything that they've done. It was handled. She should be happy that Bill, mind you, Bill didn't have to do a damn thing. Even to this day, Bill doesn't have to help them with anything. But yet Bill continues to ride to the rescue and try to shield them from the fallout. And he does not have to at this point. Because as a lawyer, he could find a way out of this for himself. He can get himself full immunity if he wanted to and threw everybody under the bus. If he really wanted to, but he doesn't. You know, so instead of yelling and being angry at him, it's like, be grateful that he's protecting your son when he didn't have to. You know, and she talking about, oh, I'm the fixer now. I liked her scenes with Bill. I ain't even gonna lie. Those scenes was hot. I liked her scenes with him. But, you know, she talking about she the fixer now. I'm like, okay, if you say so, Nicole. Because your family needs some fixing because they stay in some mess. I'm just saying, but I got to be Team Bill on this one. I got to ride with Bill because I would probably, in his position, I probably would have done the same thing. Move heaven and earth to keep this quiet. You know, I would have had to. But anyway, moving on from that. Tomas. Ugh. That man gets lower and lower. Like, when he said yesterday how he feels like the reason he didn't have sex with Kat was because he was on her sexual to-do list. Now, I started to feel like, you know, maybe he was on to something, but then I'm like, no. After watching today and remembering previous things that he's said and done, I feel like he's just trying to make himself feel guilt-free, you know, less guilty for what he's doing with Eva. That's exactly how I feel. Everything that come out his mouth is his way. Him, you know, talking down about Kat and stuff, putting her business out there. That's him trying to be, you know, guilt-free. Even when, you know, Eva was asking him, like, you know, about him and Kat's relationship, he was like, oh, me and Kat are not exclusive. Eva was like, does she know that? Exactly, because you know how people do. They'll tell you one thing, but that's not the truth. That's not the whole truth, you know. And I feel like Kat definitely believed that they were exclusive. You know, that they were really like together, like they only seeing each other. That's it. They're not seeing other people. I feel like Tomas is just saying whatever just to get in this girl pants. And I love when Kat came there banging on the door and stuff. It was so funny. I was just glad that Eva stopped herself from doing anything with him because she was like, basically, she not a hoe. You know, she not no side chick. She don't want to play the side chick role. She does not want to play the villain. You know what I mean? And Tomas trying to sit there, oh, I'm not that type of dude either. Yes, you are. Yes, you are, and you're proving it. I'm glad Eva had enough sense to stop herself because she needs to understand that she should want better for herself than Tomas. You know what I mean? Out of all these dudes out here, why would you? I mean, I get it. You know, he's not hard to look at. I understand. But there's other dudes out here that she could pull that have no connection to Kat. You know, Eva's a gorgeous girl. Go find you somebody else and stop wasting your time with Tomas. He is not worth the headache. Then when she tried to tell him to hide, he gonna sit there, oh, just, you know, straighten out the bed and tell her to straighten herself up. He know how to fix it. He know how to handle it. Soon as Kat walked up in there and seen him, Kat knew what it was. Because he tried to claim, oh, I came just to get a book. She said, no, stay and get what you came here to get. She said, I'll go, you stay. I love that how Kat handled it. I love the way she did it. That's how you handle that kind of mess. You don't yell, you don't scream, you don't slap nobody. Tell his ass to stay and you leave. Because Kat is not stupid. She knew what it was. Now Tomas want to sit here and act like, oh, damn, I should have hid. Yeah, well, you still would have got found out at some point. Kat is not dumb. She's very intuitive. And when she ran into Martin at Orphe Jean, she knew what it was. She knew that he was messing around with Eva. She not dumb. It's like the writing was on the wall because she could see it on his face how guilty he looked. So if you came there to get a book, why you look so guilty? Like you did something that you wasn't supposed to do. She could see it on him. It was written all over him. Guilt. Written all over his forehead. Like she knew what it was. That's the thing about her. She's not stupid. And I'm glad that Eva, you know, let that go because she needs to let Tomas go. She needs to. You know, until him and Kat can get things figured out, let that go. Even if they do get things figured out, neither one of them should be messing with him at this stage. Neither one, because they too good for that. They both are way too good for that nonsense with him. I wouldn't even waste my time. But anyway, that was pretty much the whole episode. Hit the comment section, let me know what you all thought, and I will see you all later. Peace.